All right, Neil. Well, thanks for joining us today for our interview. Really appreciate your time. Just so our audience knows, I figured, do you mind introducing yourself and your role?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me on. My name is Neil Jones. I'm the head men's soccer coach at Loyola University in Chicago, Division One team, part of the Missouri Valley Conference.
Fantastic. So, like I said, appreciate you coming on. And obviously, Loyola has been our customer, and we've partnered with them since the 2019 season. And they've used that quite extensively throughout that inaugural season with us. And so, Neil, could you sort of walk through how you use Bepro at Loyola?
Yeah, for sure. We've used it in many different capacities. I'll start with just the post game analysis, the turnaround time of games, and the footage and the individual footage is very quick, so that helps with our players. I mean, we're able to play a game at 1 o'clock on a Sunday or on a Saturday night, and then literally the next day, each of our players can log in from the comfort of their dormitory or apartment and go through all of their individual actions from that game and self-analyze before we even you know pull up the film and go through it from a coach's perspective, so they kind of know what they did well, what they didn't do well, where they can improve. So that's a great tool, something that I wish that I had when I was a college player, the ability to self-analyze rather than purely at the coach's discretion. And yeah, for our analysis, obviously it's very important as coaches to take kind of a 10,000 foot view of the team and how the most recent game went, where we did well, where we didn't do well, areas of the field that we attacked, areas of the field we didn't attack. Um, we love the heat map feature. Obviously that gives us a really true idea of where people are spending the majority of their time. Again, watching the game and coaching the game from the sideline is very different. You're not really paying attention to obviously the average position of players. The average position feature is great as well. Sometimes we come away from games thinking, wow, we got our butts kicked in that game, and then I'll go back and just look at the average position. And if the center backs are pretty close to the halfway line, then it may be the other way around. Maybe we were the aggressor in the game and higher up the field. So I really look at the average position of our back line, whether it's a back three or a back four. I think that's an important feature and something that we use. We use it a lot in recruiting. We have 16, 17-year-olds coming to campus to learn more about our program and how can we help them improve as players, and how can we potentially help them get to the next level. A lot of players obviously want to be professional, either in Europe or here in the US and the MLS or USL. And while we have a recent and great history of that with MLS draft picks the last 3 years, our recruits that we have on campus want to be a part of that and want to be the next one. So showing them how we can help them throughout their career at Loyola by individual development, preparing for opposition games, analyzing the most recent game. Those are some of the main tools that we use for Bepro.
Yeah, thanks for going through that. So you touched on a few things. So I guess going into like how does it help in your role as a coach get results? And then afterwards, I sort of want to dive a little deeper into how it helps with your role as a collegiate coach with recruiting. So I guess first thing, like how does it help with the results aspect of things that's sort of tied in with player development?
Yeah, I mean, like being able to look at a team that you're about to play and watch the raw film of who they are as a player and what are their kind of overarching themes and how they attack, how they defend, set pieces, offensively, defensively. There's so many. That's the beauty of the game of soccer, right? There's so many different ways to approach a game, and you're almost trying to get inside the mind of the coach and his staff, and get inside the mind of the players of like, what are they really trying to achieve in this moment, defensively, offensively, transition wise, whatever. But to have actual data to support possibly your theories that you gain and understand from that raw footage, that sometimes confirms your theories, and it sometimes is the opposite of your theories. So I guess like some of the features that we look at are definitely the heat map. Where we draw the positions of the starting lineup for a team on the whiteboard when we're telling our team, hey, these guys are going to be in a 4-3-3. Well, the central striker sometimes spends half the time or 3/4 of the time in a wide area, and he's not really a central threat. The central threat is coming from someone out of midfield. So looking at average position, heat map, obviously the passing relationships between certain players, who's passing to who. Those are bonds that you have with players on the field, because a pass is a indication of trust. Sometimes, I was once told by an older player, a good pass to a bad player is a bad pass. So players, when they pass you the ball, they trust you. So there's often relationships that we're trying to dive deeper in and figure out who wants to pass to who, and just disseminating that information to our players, and giving them even more information. Again, they're busy with school outside of soccer, so we're trying not to bombard them with information. There is a lot of information that we could give them. Some we keep to ourselves, some we keep, some we give to the players as well. But opposition preparation is very something that helps us gain good results.
Yeah, so you touched on this a little bit. So how does providing that access to the players like sort of give you the edge when it comes to today's environment, right? You mentioned that players after a game can sort of log on and sort of see their results, see their data. How does that affect the culture of your team?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good because a lot of our guys live with each other, so they can physically walk into their apartment and see each other, checking out like their individual touches, passes, receptions, whatever, and they can also look at their upcoming opponent. Especially in our conference, we play a double round robin, so we're going to play every team twice. So if I'm a center back for Loyola and we've just played one of our teams in conference, I can go leading into the next time we play those guys. I can look at the guy that I marked in the last game and look at all of his touches and moments where he was successful, and my positioning related to that successful moment for that player, and what should I do next time. And just we're looking for like little fine details at this point. Everyone understands the game, everyone understands their role and function defensively and offensively, but it's little like nuances that we're trying to clean up with our players. And yeah, like everyone seeing everyone else, like checking in, logging in, watching the film, trying to get better. Competition breeds more competition and breeds success, so everyone's trying to improve mentally, physically, tactically, all of that. So I think it breeds a culture of like increased competition and increased desire to win.
Gotcha. So you sort of talked on obviously the player development, how that sort of helps. And and you had actually brought up a unique way of how you guys use it, because everyone knows within the collegiate programs, half the job of a collegiate coach is recruiting. And so something that you've highlighted to me before was the fact that you sort of demonstrate the platform. So how does that sort of change the game for you in the recruiting realm?
Yeah, I mean, like every recruit wants to, one, play, and two, develop. So there's no at least at Loyola, we don't guarantee playing time. We can't. We think that's a tough thing to guarantee to someone who hasn't stepped foot in a college training environment. We guarantee everyone the opportunity to train. Everyone the opportunity to play, of course, but that's something that we just can't do. But what we can guarantee, especially with Bepro, is the tracking of your development in terms of all the metrics that are covered by the system. Passing percentage, shots, goals, assists, things like that. So it allows us to, meet with players after a season and say, hey, we feel like you had a good season, but here's where you can improve, and here's the statistics to prove that. You need to be in the final third more. You need to be crossing from the right wing more, and instead of cutting in on your left foot all the time. Things like that. So we can kind of use our current players' accounts and show them, show the recruits, like, look, pretend you are this player, and we show like the graph of like passing percentage and how it has improved throughout their career. Now, obviously, we've only had this for one season, so just being able to show the improvement of players, or the up and down nature. It's not going to be a constant increase. You're going to play against better teams sometimes, and the number of passes that you complete in the final third against one of the top 10 opponents in the country maybe a lot less than one of the bottom 10 opponents in the country. So, and that's just soccer, So, but being able to show, like, look, here's a player that we have right now. Here is his passing percentage or passes in the final third, and look at that. And look at it over time, and we can say, like, look, this could be you, and we'll be able to track this over 4 years for you, and meet every year or meet after every season, and kind of like gauge where you're at and have you improved or not.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks so much for that, Neil. I think that insight was fantastic. But just so obviously the audience knows, because we might be having an international reach as well. So Loyola, you're being a little coy here, but Loyola, what's I guess every year for the past however many years you've had someone go pro, is that correct?
Yeah, so so the MLS draft is every January, and I believe there will be another one this January, despite the lack of a full college season being in the fall. But 2018, we had Elliot Collier drafted to the Chicago Fire. 2019, we had Grant Stoneman drafted to the Chicago Fire. He now plays for San Diego Loyola in the USL Championship, coached by Landon Donovan. And then 2020, we had the Missouri Valley Conference Player of the Year, Aiden McGarley, drafted to FC Dallas in the MLS. But he actually declined the invitation to join them because he wants to be a doctor and go to medical school, which is just another benefit of being a great school like Loyola, I guess.
There you go. Well, yeah. And so I think it's fascinating, obviously, since you've come on, you really professionalized the program at Loyola and really, got that competitive culture going where you guys are actually top competitors within the playoffs every year. So really appreciate your time, and obviously very excited to continue to partner with you.
Well, thanks very much. Yeah, we love Bepro and appreciate you guys having me on, and thanks for creating a top-notch product.